Hey, everybody. Welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
We tried that automated for the first time and it worked, and I'm so excited. And I said I wasn't going to mention it, but I'm so proud it worked anyway. What's going on, guys? We're here to review the new episode of the Penguin episode.
Things
7.
working is exciting.
Look, we were recording this at 3:15 in the afternoon Eastern time on Monday, and I have had a day. So small victories. Small victories. We're here to talk about episode 7, Top Hat from the Penguin. Again, much like last week, we are a little split on this one, suffice to say. So go ahead and subscribe now, because this is the heat. You will never figure out which way you're supposed to go.
I know. I keep telling myself to put a post-it note so that I don't do this.
Just a corner that just says point here.
Yeah. Point this direction.
Point in this direction. Just whatever your instincts are, go against them. But I will say, not to put the cart before the horse, but Matt didn't particularly care for this episode. I will say it's definitely my least favorite of the season, and I think that is the general consensus of the majority of the internet. However, I still dug it. But we're gonna talk about the whole episode, everything beginning to end, and in between. So Matt, let's get into it here, because I think the best thing to do is just, we've brought it up. Let's just get in. You had some. This is not your particular brand of comic book property per se. It's nothing to do with the show itself. This just isn't the kind of thing you usually enjoy watching.
Correct. Yeah. It's, it's well acted. It's pretty well written. There's a couple cliches that happened this episode that I was kind of like, come on, this show is better than this cliche. But beyond that,
we'll get into that because I'm not sure which ones you mean off the top of my head.
Sure. Okay. But no, I think this is where, in my opinion, this was an order for 8 episodes, not an order for a Penguin show, if that makes sense. So it's like they told him, you have to do 8 episodes of the show. And the first 4, I think, were everything is plot driven. We're going to the story of the Penguin, blah, blah, blah. These last 3 episodes, it just seems like there's too much of a portion of the show that's not about what the show's about. So when I got annoyed that they did the whole bit about him killing the dude and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that guy's not even mentioned in this episode at all. So why was that even in the show? So I think that there's just a few things here and there where I'm like, do I really need to know that Penguin murdered his brothers and then go through this whole thing? I mean, I hope I need to. I hope someone says, oh, by the way, he actually, I hope that means something besides us. Hey, here's another reason to hate this character we're making you follow. So that's kind of where I'm at, is I just feel like the last 3 episodes, especially the last 2 could have been one. I feel like the cool things in this show are amazing. Like Maroney showing up underground, them doing that whole thing with them. The scene between the mom and Gigante, that's probably the scene of the show, of this episode, maybe the show. But it's again, I don't know that I needed this weird watch Penguin go on an awkward date with his mom. I don't know. That's where I get into I think there's just some of the stuff that, as much as I appreciated the acting and that kind of thing, I just I don't show me I need this, because again, with Vic and that guy, I didn't need that. I'd rather let's go. So I feel like depending on what happens in the next episode, this probably was a 6-episode thing. And somebody was like, you got to make it 8 because we like 8. So that's just how I'm feeling.
I'm going to not push back per se, but so much as just respond to some of the. First of all, I will say I push back on the 8-episode thing because we're talking about Matt Reeves here. The guy made a 3-hour movie about Batman. This has everything to do. But second of all, from everything that we've gathered from what James Gunn has said online, it seems like Matt Reeves has pretty much had run of his own ship with this thing, as far as that goes as well. Also, like I'm actually gonna what I'm gonna bring up, and this is gonna be a weird thing to bring up,
Okay.
but I'm gonna bring up the One Bad Day Riddler comic we read.
Okay.
One of the big themes in that book is that Edward is having a hard time grasping the nuance of the riddles that his teacher is putting at the end of the tests. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what those scenes are meant to be. Those scenes are not necessarily meant to be plot scenes. These are character development scenes. These are mythos scenes. And you got to like, that's just storytelling, Matt. That's storytelling. That's the why. That's the why someone's doing why they are. And to answer your point about like, are they just showing us another reason to hate this person? I actually think that's a good thing. I think it's their way of reminding the audience, hey, remember, Oz is a bad person. I think that's their way of reminding everyone, hey, remember, you're not actually supposed to be rooting for this guy. He is still ultimately a bad person.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring this up later, but I'll bring it up now. So, we just put up I just put up a short about this on the channel too. We started putting up these random poll shorts, by the way, guys. So if you haven't subbed already, like sub for those, because as we start reading random comics, we're going to start putting up reviews of them as a short. So check that out. But in this, the Penguin special that DC put out, which has, it's got like Penguin's first appearance from the 60s. It's got this great story from Joker. I think it's called Joker's Asylum. Yeah, Joker's Asylum, which is basically like DC Tales from the Crypt, hosted by Joker, which are hysterical, by the way. I mean, it is truly like there's a joke involving him and Two-Face in Arkham together that is like, oh, this feels like it was written for me. That's my kind of humor right there. I'll tell you about it later. But it goes into all the ways that Penguin, that Oswald Cobblepot, Oz Cobb, really and truly is. By the way, first comic book Oz Cobb naming in this one as well. The first one in this book is him being called Oz Cobb. And again, it is fucked up, to say the least. And I think it's one of those, like, it reminds you of, like, I think the Penguin, especially from my generation, has become kind of a joke villain for Batman.
Okay.
And I think when you go back to, again, having just read this, like in his original appearance, he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
But he's also fucking ruthless and is not above killing literally anyone who gets in the way of what he wants. I don't like throwing around words like psychopath or sociopath, but I guarantee somebody's dying to with Oz Cobb. And so I think what was really important about those scenes is in this episode is, like, we've had seedlings of it, but like, okay, what exactly is the nature of Oz and his mom's relationship? Because especially when you've got, his mom is a bit of an unreliable narrator because of her, dementia or whatever. So it's hard to piece together what she's saying, and Oz won't talk about it. So this is the answer of, like, okay, what happened? What actually happened? And similar to, like, we saw in the finale of Agatha All Along recently, it's like, yes, there, through amidst all the dozens of rumors, in the middle of there lies the truth.
Yeah.
There's the common thread amongst there is some truth to all the lies. And so I think those scenes painted that picture for us of okay, this is who you got one episode left. This is who you're dealing with. This is the last bits of information you need to know about Oz Cobb. This guy is ruthless. He killed his own brothers as a child just because his mom was willing to stop work and play zombies with them rather than stop work and watch a movie with him.
Yeah.
This guy is just as much a monster as the people he says he's replacing.
Yeah.
He is just as much a monster. And I think that was the best thing for this episode was to show us, yeah, no, Oz has just always been like this. This wasn't his mom that made him this way. It wasn't God. It's Oz is just a monster. And he's smart.
Well, and you also, like, if going back to like the first 10 minutes of the show, he will get a emotional reflexive reaction to something happening, and he just goes off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you can't tell me that's the first time that hasn't happened between his family, but then also in my mind of like not even considering what's going to happen. Like, he destroyed his mom by doing that. He may have gotten the thing he wanted, but he destroyed his mom.
Exactly.
You may have wanted better place in Falcone's eyes, but you destroyed his daughter. Like, you are now just the people in your wake. And that's where
Sophia said that to him at the end of the first episode. When she offed the other kid, she was like, you will say anything, get rid of anyone to get what you want.
Yeah.
Apparently, yes, to the nth degree. And again, a lot of that, like, I really do feel like, and I'm not trying to plug this. I just happened to read this. I just picked this up randomly. This truly was a coincidence. I pulled this, but just like, I read through all of this, and all I could think was, oh, was this the homework they did was this the homework Matt Reeves did? I feel like this is just Matt Reeves saying like, hey, you guys want to know what I read to write the show? Here you go. Because it's quite literally like the stuff with Sophia, the stuff with his mom, like there were things I saw happen in this episode, and I won't go into too many spoilers of it, but there were things I saw happen in this episode that I was like, oh shit, I read that in that book over the weekend.
No.
Like almost to a T. So I think that this is so more to kind of what my point was from last week. I know I've rambled a lot here, but what else is new? I think this is feeding more into my new theory that hey guys, remember this show is still meant to be a bridge to the Batman Part 2. And I think more and more we're seeing like, yeah, it's called The Penguin and it's about the Penguin, but it's about the Penguin's involvement in what happens in leading to the start of the Batman Part 2. And I think the way things are going, we might need to be prepared for the fact that the Penguin might actually be the big bad of Part 2.
Yeah. And I think we kind of said it off air. Let's see what happens next episode. Like, I think that's where we're really going to have to get into, all right, where does this leave us? And how does this truly affect the next Batman movie? Because, I mean, this is another thing. Like, we're still dealing with a lot. Like, now you have a whole in part of the town.
Yeah. And I said that on the phone earlier too. I said, okay, if there's anything that's going to get Batman's attention, it's blowing a hole through the streets of Gotham. So I think so to that end, I think going into the next episode, the main thing and I think that's why they chose to end the episode with, I forgot about Sophia hiring this guy. I actually had to remind myself who that guy was at the end that knocked out Oz. He was from like, what, episode 2? 1?
I think so. I didn't even.
He was that drunk ex-cop at a bar that Sophia hired.
Oh, yes.
In like episode 1 or 2. Yeah, exactly. Completely forgot about him. We haven't seen him since. So I don't know what he's been up to, but for him to show up amidst all of that, just there waiting for Oz, call him the Penguin and say, Sophia's waiting for you. What has this guy been up to? And now I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they chose to use the Fred Astaire top hat thing as a let's call it allusion to Penguin's old tuxedo tap dance and the fact that he loved him so much because like the tap dancing thing. What a beautiful way to paint such a morbid, dark, bleak picture. Can I just say?
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you think about how they handled? Because first of all, we said, "Uh-oh, Clancy Brown's in this." Well, he's gonna die because he can't keep him around for too long. His schedule's packed. How did you feel about the stuff with Maroney?
That was the thing I was talking about earlier.
I'm a little mixed on that as well. I will say, I think that's the thing that has most people mixed.
Yeah.
Walk me through your feelings on it, because I think I'm still figuring mine out, actually.
It's dumb. Like, it's just like, again, this show has been, though not my cup of tea, very smart with what they're doing and weaving. And I just kind of felt like he survived being stabbed in the gut to have a heart attack a couple weeks later. Like, I just kind of was like, I would have rather like he had a gun hidden and shoots him out of nowhere after he gets his ass handed to him, because Maroney was beating the crap out of him.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like, I feel
like,
to me
like
that's a cheat. I hate that cliche.
Like if they had said, like, there had been like this thing throughout the show or something that like he had a bad heart or something, like, okay, sure, then at least we would have led to it. Him just out of nowhere having a heart attack in the middle of the fight. I understand they were going for the idea of like, Oz is getting a victory, but like, let's be honest, he didn't earn it. Like, he's getting an unearned victory. I understand. Like, I get especially because like when we see how Oz reacts, he's pissed. He's like, oh, come on. That's not like this. Yeah. So the idea of like of getting your cake, but not getting to eat it, basically. So I appreciate that. But I will say, considering we've had 7 episodes and I don't know, it felt a little anticlimactic. It felt more than a little anticlimactic. I remember going like, well, there's a strike on this episode.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I don't know.
There's so many more interesting ways Penguin could have pulled something, no offense, out of his hat, or no pun intended, out of his hat to make this work.
Yeah.
Even if it was like somebody else comes up and shoots him and saves him, and then he yells at the guy like, "Hey!"
And then he shoots the other guy. Like, he's like, they can't know that he's the one that killed Sal. Like,
yeah, like anything of that. But the whole
even a stray bullet would have been hysteric. I would have laughed at a stray bullet.
Or again, like, even if
like in a good way,
they fall down and in the fall something happens and Maroney's head hits something that gets it. Like, I just felt like. Yeah. Like, and I've seen that a couple times and other things, and I just kind of go like,
and here's what it really comes down to is ultimately portraying a heart attack on screen falls entirely at whether or not the actor is able to sell it, and selling the believability of a heart attack is really hard to do without looking dramatic. You know what I mean? To not look like you're like doing it for the stage.
Yeah.
And so I think faking a heart attack is one of those things that will never not look kind of dumb on screen, no matter who's doing it. There's nothing against Clancy Brown as an actor. It's just like, I don't think Meryl Streep could have made that look graceful.
Yeah.
And I know heart attacks aren't graceful, but like, again, it's just, I don't know if they were playing it for if they were playing it for like a Pratt, like a gag, like a womp womp, and then they missed. And if they were playing it for like a tragic victory, I don't know. The moment fell flat for me.
There's only one heart attack in all of cinema history that makes me cry every single time, and that's Paul Kent and Superman.
Shut up.
All right, keep going.
Anyway, so yeah, if there's one thing I'm definitely giving the episode, it's the way that Maroney went out. That being said, Maroney going out, I mean, we kind of figured that was going to happen. I continue to be surprised at the role Sophia's doctor is playing in this.
Yeah.
I have a very hard time believing that there is not a line to be drawn between the red of the light and the red of the drug bliss.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just, and especially because the logo is red as it was for the movie. So I don't know. Unless it's just going with, I don't know. But his involvement unless he really is going to turn out to be Jervis Tetch or Jonathan Crane, under a fake name, which again would not be mad at. Not mad at it if it is.
Or could be Hugo Strange.
Or Hugo Strange. Again, I'm not mad at any of this if that's what they're going. But at this point, it's like, again, and we said it last week, we're saying it again. At this point, we just need the finale.
Yeah, I think, and they got to knock it, in my opinion, out of the park. I was all on board the first 4. These last 3, again, not bad, like, oh my gosh, but definitely like, yeah, I'll watch this because it's the Penguin and it's a gap filler. But had I been anything else, I probably would have been out by now. So
I still would have been. I mean, again, I liked this episode. I haven't disliked any episode, but I do think that, and again, this is a penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Penultimate episode of any season of any show is going to be one big WTF. I mean, I want to be clear about that. I'm not saying none of this, like, where are we going is a question of like the show is doing a bad job of painting the picture. It's more of like, where are we going? Because it's the episode before the finale. That's kind of what it's supposed to do. Yeah. But more than I think definitely how a lot of people are going to ultimately feel about the show is going to be how it ends.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I think we glossed over a little bit, but I do want to bring it up.
Bring it up.
The mom loses it, and then Sophia feels bad for her, and then she goes to visit the little kid.
Glimmers of Sophia's humanity in this episode, were the reasons to watch this episode.
Yeah, the going to see the little kid.
God, that whole scene, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, is she going to kill this kid? She's going to kill this kid. She's going to kill this kid. Please don't kill this kid. And then I kept waiting for the kid to be like, oh no, I'm glad you did it.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to be like, did you kill mom and dad? No, of course not. Oh, I was hoping you did. And it's like, oh, like I was hoping like the kid knew deep down, like that, like everybody in the family was bad. But I liked what Sophia, I loved that moment, that moment Sophia, I'm pulling a U today. That moment Sophia had with her where she's like, you're going to go to a new family and you are going to get as far away from the evil that our bloodline has wrought. And you are going to be so much better for it. And she has that moment of like, I feel like she went there with the intention of killing her. And in that moment of seeing what she had done to herself and realizing, oh no.
You've done it to somebody else.
You are repeating your father's mistakes. Don't repeat your father's mistakes. You want to be better than Carmine? Be better than Carmine.
Yeah.
But she still wants to make Oz suffer.
Which is fine. So we'll see.
Quick question. What percentage of your mind thought his mom missing a finger was in the trunk of that car?
I was hoping she was dead.
That's what I'm saying. What percentage of you thought that's what was in there?
Until the guy ran, I was sure she was already dead. Once the guy ran, I was like, oh, there's a bomb.
There's a bomb. Yeah. Once the guy runs.
And then when it was like her body or the coat or whatever, I was like, maybe they did kill her. That'd be cool. And then when it was revealed the bomb, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, she's going to make him watch her die. Because she's dying next episode. His mom's not making it out of this show. We don't get all the flashbacks from today's episode if she's surviving this show. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'll be surprised if anybody besides Penguin survives this show.
I think Oz and Sophia. I think Sophia is the only one that stands a chance because I still think she has a shot at being, again, because Matt Reeves keeps calling this his epic Batman crime saga. And there seems to be this big theme of having comic book villain, mob villain.
Yeah.
I have a big sneaking suspicion that Sophia could be sticking around for a bit. But it's not out. I will not be shocked if she dies, but I think there's a possibility she keeps going. But yeah, I mean, I think his mom, and I think Vic dies too. I don't want him to, but I think Vic dies.
Yeah.
Also, that's something we didn't talk about. Vic's MIA. Remember, he said, Vic, fuck your guilt. Go get me an army. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the episode is like Vic's just going to voicemail.
Oh, I think that army will go save Penguin.
Well, who do you think the army is? Who do you think he's rounding up? Do you think he's rounding up all the street gangs that Penguin brought together under the bridge with the beer?
There were some of those.
He said go call Zhao, but then that was...
I think there's. I mean, we'll see. There was a couple other thugs that weren't down there that he had talked and worked with before in one of the previous episodes that I think.
I guess it makes you wonder why they can't get a hold of him. Then what's going on? If Sophia already has him, or if they flipped him, maybe he went to them and they said, "Yeah, sure." Then they handed him right over to Sophia. Who knows? Next week, there's a lot to do. Here's the thing I will, and again, most of your hangups are thematic with this show, right? That and a couple of cliches, but for the most part, it's a thematic thing.
Yeah, it's running long.
It's Matt Reeves.
I know.
Again, we're talking about a show based on a 3-hour movie. A Batman movie. If anybody at this point who's mad about the show being long. It's like getting mad at a James Cameron movie for being a little bit derivative. Anyway, my point being is, I've lost my train of thought completely.
Look, if the finale closes it, I'll be back on board.
That's what I was gonna say. The show has done a pretty good job of not leaving too many threads untangled. Like they've done a pretty good job of tying off most of the things they've set up. Like the Falcons, okay, dealt with. Maroni, dealt with. Now we're quite literally down just to Oz's gang. So what's left of the Gigantes, who the hell knows anymore, if there's anybody left there. And the street gangs that Oz, watch the sunrise over a beer with. So that Vic is supposedly they're getting. Who's to say? I don't know. But listen, we would love to know what you guys think of this episode down in the comments. While you're down there going to click and leave a comment, you can subscribe. It's on the way down. Like you're going to go down and you're going to pass it. So just do it. We always want to know what you guys think. So please let us know. And we will see you guys again for next week. So here's how it's going to work. So we are going to do our regular episode review on Monday, just like always. And then we will do a full season review, discussion, and predictions for the Batman Part 2 for Friday's podcast episode next week. So keep an eye out for that for next week. We still have another regular episode coming for you guys this week, and we will see you again. We will see you again next time here on YouTube. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.